Good morning. We're going to call the State Board of Education meeting back to order. Thank you all for being here this morning. We have a lot of guests with us today, but one I'd like to recognize before we begin is our support and recognition and enthusiasm about the Kelly program out of K-State. We have John Severin, who is a retired superintendent from Hiawatha, who's working with the Kelly program. John, if you stand, and we'd like to say hello. Thank you for that. And we have two superintendents here today, Todd Evans from Prairie Hills, USD 113, and Steve Lilly. Thank you. Steve Lilly from McLuth, USD 342. Thank you for being here. We're very supportive of Kelly and thankful for the work they're doing with K-State and school leadership. Thank you. Let's see. We have to approve the agenda for today. If you take a look at that, actually, I guess we should have done roll call. Okay, yes, Ken. Okay, I believe we have to vote on this.
Not on the phone.
Approval of agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, I did. Motion for approving the agenda for today. Dina Horst and makes the motion, and Kathy Bush seconds. Those in favor, please raise their right hand. That's a 10-0 vote, I believe. Okay. The first order on our agenda is to receive the Career and Technical Students Organization report and presentation by CTSO officers. Ladies and gentlemen, you're on. Oh, I'm sorry. Jay.
They are much better looking than me, so just let's get that straight.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Chair McNeese. Good morning. We are celebrating Career and Technical Student Organization Citizenship Day today. I'm very excited to have 8 student leaders, 8 of our best and brightest students across the state joining us today to share some wisdom with you. You've noticed that I've armed them. They have those are stress balls, not balls for throwing, but they are stress balls. So please be nice to them. And I trust them wholeheartedly since my back is to them with those balls. So what better way to celebrate than to hear from our students? We know that in Kansas, to be college and career ready, that students need to be prepared academically, cognitively, develop their technical and their employability skills. By participating in career and technical student organizations, not only do students develop in all 4 of those areas, but they also develop lifelong skills in leadership and citizenship that will transfer across all careers. So it's my pleasure to be able to bring these students here today to you for their presentations. From the classroom to this boardroom, our CTSO students apply their learning in authentic experiences, whether it be training in the classroom, competing at the local, regional, and state competitions, or leading an organizational meeting. Our CTSO students gain valuable knowledge and skills related to their interests and talents, and getting a head start on their college and career paths. The CTSO experience would not be possible without the passionate dedication and commitment of the many chapter advisors, a few of which we have here today. Thank you for being here. And then also our state advisors, who are very passionate all about student success and their students in their related CTSOs. Before I turn this show over to the stars of the show, I want to take a moment to thank all of our student leaders for taking the time to come and share with the Board of Education today and for serving and leading their respective student organizations. Like I said before, you're all bright spots, and we're so very proud of your accomplishments. At this time, each of the 8 student officers are going to provide some comments. Afterwards, there'll be time for the boards for questions or comments, if you should have any. And I also do want to make you aware of the handout that shows our numbers for last school year. Our numbers are up It seems like that's a trend if you look at the last 4 years. So it's gratifying to know that all the hard work from our advisors is working, and that we're getting students into these very important programs more and more, so we're providing more opportunities for our students across the state of Kansas. So with that, I'll turn it over to our first student officer.
Hi, I'm Alora Hemphill with Kansas FCCLA. I'm serving as the state president, and I'm from southeast of Saline High School. Professor Gideon Rosen, a philosopher that teaches at Princeton University, once said, "Culture is what presents us with the kinds of valuable things that can fill a life." Professor Rosen is an extremely prestigious professor. In his views, culture is the premise of life's values. However, I wish to take this idea one step further. Culture is really just the behaviors and traditions of a group of people. And the basis of any group of people is the family. It seems like an incredibly simple concept. Family is what makes us who we are. The morals, values, and lessons from our parents or parental figures teach us to be the people we turn out to be. As the current Kansas governor, Sam Brownback, said, "We need to rebuild the family. That's at the core of what we need to do. We should be bolder about standing up for family. Family's important for us, and it's important for America." Families are the foundation of every society, but our definition of the family has changed over the past generations. We are seeing an overwhelming number of divorced families, single parents, and unsupervised children. If only there was an organization that promoted the growth of families in the United States. Oh wait, there is. Taken from its own mission statement, FCCLA promotes personal growth and leadership development for all of its members through family and consumer sciences education. Students are exposed to family values through FCCLA. A simple community service project shows one how to care for everyone. Competitive events teach work ethic and dedication. Running for office teaches responsibility and organization. The FCCLA national program, Families First, is all about teaching our youth to grow into their roles as future parents and guardians. The program teaches simple concepts that can carry a lot of weight, such as going through obstacles as a family, communication in the home, managing multiple responsibilities, and even balancing work and family. Do these concepts sound familiar? FCCLA is teaching its students what was once taught by many parents and guardians. The basic concept of these skills is diminishing because today's society has decided that the family is no longer important. However, I know that FCCLA is the organization that can reverse society's ideas and bring family values back to life. Thank you.
Well, good morning. I'm Nicholas Meyer, originally from Marion, Kansas, but currently studying a freshman at Kansas State University, and I'm with the FFA organization, if you couldn't tell from the blue corduroy jacket. 46 gold, 29 silver, and 29 bronze, for a combined total of 104 medals. This is the USA's medal count from the most recent Summer Olympics. Every 4 years, people from across the world gather to take part in the Olympic competition. Well, in the FFA, we have some competitions of our own, but not quite on the same magnitude as the Olympics. Our contests are called career development events, and there are 24 of them on the national level. Each state can send one team to the national level every October, and the top 10% of those teams that compete are named to the gold division. This year, Kansas had 17 teams earn that honor. Career development events are an integral part of the agriculture education model, which consists of classroom learning, FFA, and supervised agricultural experiences. Career development events, or CDEs, give students an opportunity to take the knowledge they learn in the classroom and put it to use in real-world settings with a competitive setting behind it. As a sophomore, I participated in my first Agricultural Technology Management, CDE, and it didn't go so well, but I learned a lot about it for the next year. My junior year, I returned, and we ended up being the district champions and went on to place second in the state. So, as you can probably imagine, my senior year, we spent a long time preparing for this event. We learned how to weld with multiple processes, apply algebra and geometry to real-world situations, and how to read and analyze complex writing to fix complex problems. All of these skills paid off as we repeated as district champions and went on to the state level, where we used all of these skills again. At the awards ceremony, my heart almost stopped when they announced that we were the state champions. It was one of the highlights of my entire FFA career. But looking back, it's amazing the impact that CDE had. One member of my team is going to become a diesel mechanic at Salina Technical College, while myself and another teammate are studying engineering with an agricultural mechanics focus. Career development events are designed to enhance the learning done by students in the classroom. In all career development events, students are demonstrating skills they learn in the classroom and will use throughout the rest of their life in their careers. Confucius said, "I hear and I forget. I see and I understand. I see and I remember. I do and I understand." When FFA members participate in career development events, they're taking that ever-important last step to understanding not only that area of agriculture, but agriculture as a whole, so that one day they might make a change for the better. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jason Payne, the state president from Kansas HOSA and a senior at Hutchinson High School. I'm excited to be here today to represent Kansas HOSA, an organization for future health professionals that strongly supports community service. We live in the great state of Kansas that sets the high standards for teens that actively volunteer. The goal of community service and goodwill in youth organizations is to establish a lifelong commitment to actively participate and give back to the community. Serving the community by volunteering early in life can be instrumental in establishing a lifelong habit of giving. The 8 student organizations represented here recognize their responsibility to help those around them. HOSA members commit themselves to studying the incredible world of healthcare in addition to devoting time regularly to benefit their schools, communities, state, and nation. Becoming involved in activities that improve a person's environment, education, or lifestyle is an important part of becoming a professional. Kansas HOSA members can be found giving back to the communities that support them in a variety of ways, assisting in blood drives, volunteering at the Salvation Army, local soup kitchens, Boys and Girls Club activities, delivering Meals on Wheels, and supporting Special Olympic events are just a few I've been a part of and observed other members do. One of the missions of HOSA is to deliver compassionate, quality healthcare. As future healthcare providers and caregivers, it is beneficial for HOSA members to understand how simple daily actions can impact the lives of others. Interactive volunteer opportunities for HOSA members allow them to meet the needs of citizens where they are in their daily lives and spark that compassion for serving the people in their community. This year's National Service Project for HOSA is the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. This is one way HOSA members can unite across the nation for one cause. There are a variety of ways chapters can participate to support LLS. I have personally witnessed members becoming energized at the chance to do community service. This is encouraging to me because I see how the genuine passion that comes from helping others. The CTSO organizations support and ignite this passion. In addition, students may be also rewarded by their CTSOs and HOSA for their community involvement through recognition programs at the state and national level. The support that the State Board of Education gives to CTSOs, including HOSA, is valuable for many reasons, including assisting future health professionals recognize the need and importance for service in their community. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Talbot. I'm from Valley Center High School, and I am the Skills USA State President. Unhappy. That's how most Americans would describe how they feel about their jobs. 52.3 Americans are unsatisfied with their current position or career. With Skills USA, we strive to promote awareness of quality job practices and attitudes and increase the opportunity for employer contact and employment. You may ask how this is possible. Well, by following the state standards, it helps our organization develop successful employees that have bright futures in workplace industries. The opportunities for our students through this system are endless. Our members are given chances for scholarships at our state and national competitions, giving them a huge advantage over non-members. 52 national events offer scholarships for the top 3 placers. Project Lead the Way is a world-class curriculum that offers teachings of the key concepts for these 52 scholarship events and has a huge part in Skills USA. Project Lead the Way starts to offer its STEM curriculum to students as young as 2nd grade. More than 4,700 students in all 50 states and the District of Columbia are currently offering Project Lead the Way courses and have a Skills USA program. Skills USA programs are also present in Guam, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. Having Skills USA programs throughout the world gives individuals a huge factor in helping to prepare them for the world of work. The hands-on project-based program involves students on many levels. First, it shows them multiple areas of study that they regularly would not pursue. It also provides them with a foundation and proven path to college and career success. This is what Skills USA is all about. Many business and industries are looking for the types of students that our organization produces. Our students do not only learn the skills needed for future jobs, but they also learn self-promotion and leadership qualities. Over the last few years of my involvement with Skills USA, I have enjoyed the growth, both personal and professional, including myself and my fellow students. I believe that my involvement will benefit me in ways that I have yet to see, and I hope future students appreciate these opportunities as much as I have. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Melissa Kaler. I'm from Cheney, Kansas, and I'm the current Kansas State President for BPA. It doesn't really matter if you want to become a politician, psychologist, engineer, teacher, or future human rights advocate. At some point, you're going to need BPA. I know I needed BPA in my high school career, and honestly, I can't imagine where I would be at in my life if it weren't for this organization. And no, that's not an overgeneralization. BPA members are being provided with knowledge and information that will help them succeed in any career field they choose to go into. BPA builds its foundations on educating students in the most basic concepts such as interviewing, all the way up to working with C++ programming in terms of algorithms and the pseudocode. And really, that's an actual event description. I mean, how many 15 to 18-year-olds can say they successfully know how to design a website from scratch and make it into the perfect marketing concept for a full-fledged company, or create their own upcoming company? I don't know a ton, but I know BPA members who can. BPA has your future accountants, your future doctors and nurses, your future financial analysts, your future bank representatives, your future economists, your future lawyer, your future computer engineer, your future leaders. We are ready to make a difference in this ever-changing world, but we need people there behind us to support us and to motivate us in order to become the best possible leaders we can be. And especially, we need people there to guide us. We are the next generation of leaders, and it's time to decide what our generation is going to say. Thank you.
Good morning, I'm Sarah Neatery, Kansas Future Business Leaders of America State President and National Mountain Plains Region Vice President. Future Business Leaders of America needs funding, like all other CTSOs, to carry out chapter projects. Attending the District Conference, State Leadership Conference, and the National Leadership Conference are very rewarding experiences for FBLA members, but as we know, everything costs money. Luckily, finance is a knowledge base of many FBLA members. FBLA's mission is to bring business and education together in a positive working relationship through innovative leadership and career development programs. Although fundraising can be a burden on many CTSOs, FBLA is able to carry out its mission through fundraising, among other things. Great Bend High School in Great Bend, Kansas, has an annual craft festival. This festival is on its 10th year. The crafters fill the Panther Athletic Center, which is the size of 3 gyms. GBHS FBLA members have the chance to plan a large-scale project, working with people all over the Midwest, while gaining funding for the FBLA chapter. This fundraiser alone brings in approximately $5,000. Many FBLA chapters run and manage their school store. While FBLA chapters run these school stores differently, they're able to collaborate with each other to find the best system. Through school stores, FBLA members are able to gain basic accounting knowledge, for many advisors have their members journalize all transactions. Many FBLA programs are gaining funding through their entrepreneurship programs. Members at Canton-Galva High School in Canton, Kansas are selling chapstick and candles that the FBLA members have created. FBLA members at Hoisington High School in Hoisington, Kansas, have created a yard sign business. Through innovative ideas, FBLA fundraising has become a fun project rather than a burden. Other FBLA chapters collaborate with community projects already in place to bring a different group of people to large-scale projects. Through FBLA's professional division, FBLA has had a great connection to many business professionals around the community. These professional members believe in FBLA's mission and assist the students in gaining funding and gaining a knowledge base for the specific topic that they're working on. Future Business Leaders of America has created a network of opportunities to gain funding. While the projects that they choose may be a little more extensive than going out and selling stuff, members gain immeasurable skills from the projects. Fundraising is a need for all career and technical education student organizations, but Future Business Leaders of America members are continually coming up with innovative ideas to gain this funding. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Allie Acevedo, and I am from Lansing High School. DECA is a marketing management organization that prepares young entrepreneurs and leaders for careers in marketing, management, hospitality, and finances in high schools and colleges around the globe. DECA possesses many characteristics that are helping the organization spread throughout the globe. Kansas DECA, as well as National DECA, has been reaching the world about the difference it has been making through many outlets. CTSOs prepare students for the practical workplace in many different jobs. It creates a brighter future for our students. Through social media, advocating at various events, and many more events, DECA has been continuously growing in the public's eye. This year, Kansas DECA has advocated around the country at various DECA and CTSO events, ranging from Phoenix, Arizona to Minneapolis to right now. Our goal is to make more people aware of what not only Kansas DECA does for our students, but what career technical student organizations do for the future leaders of our nation. Career technical student organizations are a vital part of preparing students to grow in their careers as adults. Continuing to build the public relation aspect of our CTSOs will help improve our organizations for the future. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Matthew Perotti. I'm a senior at Lewisburg High School, and this is actually my third time speaking to you all board members. And so I see a lot of familiar faces. Just to start off, I'd just like to say that in years past, I've been pretty adamant about telling you all about what TSA does. But this year, I would really like to emphasize how exactly TSA inspires students to move on to their careers and post-secondary educational experiences ready to impact the world around them. As the premier CTSO that incorporates STEM into their mission statement, TSA is where self-driven students learn to streamline technologies incorporation into their own organization and ultimately into their lives through career and technical education. And with STEM taking a leading role in education, TSA becomes an essential tool for students everywhere. TSA, like all CTSOs here, try to incorporate CTE into its mission as well as the career and college ready standards. We are here to teach students something tangible, something that they can use now and in their futures. Through other competitive events, students are challenged to make impromptu digital media productions, participate in on-site career interviews for up-and-coming jobs, work diligently on an innovation of their own to an already used product, think up and create a brand new prototype of an invention, or build an animatronic model that inspires students to use current technology to tackle new problems. You know, it's funny, as funny as it may sound, every once in a while, one of us on the TSA team can't seem to work their own pieces of technology. And sometimes my state advisor likes to say, technology's good when it works. And that's so true. We have to know how to be able to use that technology, but we also need to know what it means to make technology work for the problems that encounter us every day, right? And that doesn't just mean learning where the power button is. It also means thinking up new and innovative ways to use technology already available to us for different reasons and different purposes. This is an ever-changing world, and we have to learn how to change with it. TSA is an organized and structured bridge from the past to the present and the present to the future for students everywhere who want to incorporate more STEM technology into their educational experiences. every year at the state and national conferences, it's amazing how many students are excited about making their promotional designs or presenting their educational video games, or even just looking busy sporting the blue and gray official dress. These are driven students. TSA is really the best kept secret, and I can only thank you all for your continued support of this CTSO. Thank you.
Well, I'm very thankful that I got to go first. Does the board have any questions for the group of students?
Questions, comments?
Be careful, they're very practiced at this.
Steve Roberts?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. To anyone who would like to respond, one of our goals is to put an effective educator into every classroom. So since you have willing spirits here willing to listen, would you have a suggestion on how we could do that job a little better, how we could put more effective teachers into more classrooms?
I'm Sarah Neatery with Future Business Leaders of America.
Would you please come to the mic? Thank you.
I'm Sarah Neatery with Future Business Leaders of America, and I think the best way to get effective teachers is to get them involved in the school. If you have a teacher specifically just teaching their classes and not being involved in the CTSO or not being a basketball coach, then they're less involved in the school and less involved in the students. So I think getting them involved in the school as a whole is the best way to get effective teachers.
Oh. Thank you. It was broken. Carolyn Campbell.
Thank you, sir. It was not broken.
It's supposed to cover for me.
Oh, well, young people, I'm not going to be phony in front of young people. They'll figure that one out. You figured that out, didn't you, Matthews? That's the first thing I want to say. Yes, I remember you. And I thought, I've seen him before. Well, first of all, I just want to say how thankful I am that every year, this is one of the highlights of the entire year that we have when we see you folks come and share with us, because there is hope. Thank you for all that you're doing and learning, and the love and the brilliancy that you're spreading. Thank you.
Jim Porter.
Just want to follow up on what Carolyn said. First of all, in the school where I serve, we have several student organizations, and I am continually impressed with the skills, especially the presentation skills that are kind of learned in all those things. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say that I believe that the future of Kansas is in very good shape if it is in the hands of people like you. Thank you for being here.
For all of you, great presentations. I'm sitting here thinking, if I was in high school, could I do that? And quite frankly, no. And I know that you learned these skills and you had these opportunities to practice them in your organizations. You represent over 23,000 students, but you do more than that. You also represent the standards that we are looking for, what we believe is college and career ready. And then you enhance those even further when we talk about family, and we talk about careers, and we talk about service, to community. I know that the spotlight too often goes to sports, and that's okay in a way. It's always been there. You can go back 150 years and you can hear the same thing. But in terms of students, the things that the programs and the opportunities that you represent here for the 23,000 students that we're talking about, it really beckons a bright future for you. You are amazing students, and thank you for this. And you're not one day wonders. You've been in these programs for a long time, and you've seen the growth, and that's terrific. To the sponsors and to the teachers who have committed themselves to these programs, I'm sure that all the board members extend an appreciation, thank you, and congratulations for the job well done. You are, without doubt, our superstars. You're making things happen. You're not coming in and standing there for a little while giving a class, but you're actually getting into the lives and the opportunities that these kids have because of your efforts and your leadership and your service cannot be underestimated. Thank you very much for what you do. You know, I think we have any other comments or okay. We have a picture taking. You know, we're going to get together. Is that what we're going to do? I'm new at this picture taking stuff. I'm usually not in them. The last thing I would say is I hope we're going to, our new commissioner-elect and board members will be on a tour around the state to listen to our constituents, to the citizens, but we also want to listen to students. So I would ask you, I would encourage you to be at the sessions that will be in your districts. If it's close by, great. If it's not, you might have to drive a little bit. But we really would like to have students there. You know, they are citizens as well, and will be for a long time. And you've got a big stake in this, and as you've expressed, or you've demonstrated your leadership today and expressed your views, we're asking you in service to your state to see if you can't get students at these so we can hear your voice at these sessions as we look for the vision of the future for Kansas education. So I guess we'll take a few minutes, and do we have certificates or something? Okay, no. Jay, keep me on track here. Don't lose me, Jay.
I'm not.
Are we going to do pictures?
I do want to say that students have a very full day today. As soon as they leave here, they're going back to the Capitol Plaza Hotel for more training.
Sure.
Then there's a luncheon that all the board members are. We'd love to see you all there at the luncheon this afternoon. And then they get to go over to the legislature this afternoon and spend some time with their legislators.
Get them.
So,
they need to see you. They need to hear from you.
on behalf of the students and the chapter advisors, the state advisors, thank you to the board for your continued support of CTSOs and CTE in Kansas.
Why don't we take a few minutes and get a picture of the leaders and some of the board members, and then we'll reconvene here at what is that? About 5 minutes. What's 5 minutes? I can't see the clock.
38.
Right, okay, at 9:38. Board members, we'd like to reconvene. Well, welcome back. We have board members coming in, and Dale, are you ready?
I'm ready, sir.
Well, let's go. Let's do some recognition here for superintendents and principals of the year. Thank you very much.
We're going to continue that role. We have 3 distinguished educators that are being honored by their professional association, chosen by the membership. That's about as good as it gets. And the first is Miss Kimberly Mitchell. She's the principal of Bonner Springs Elementary School in Bonner Springs, Edwardsville, 204. And she was chosen as the 2015 National Distinguished Principal of the Year by the Kansas Association of Elementary School Principals. There you are.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, it is a pleasure to be here, and I appreciate the invitation. All I can say is I want to talk a little bit about Bonner Springs. I think it's the best kept secret in the state. And when I say that, everyone wants the Kansas City area, but they don't want the big city, and they don't want the huge school districts. Bonner Springs is truly 30 minutes from everything wonderful Kansas City has to offer, but it does it with this wonderful small town feel. We have an incredibly supportive community. We've never failed a bond issue. Our building right now, as of yesterday, 469 students, grades K through 5. Our free and reduced lunch count, that is one thing that I have seen. I've been an administrator 13 years in Bonner Springs, and when I started, our free and reduced lunch count was around 39%, 40%. It's now 63%. That is something that I'm seeing every day. More and more families, living with families, more and more families. Do you have help for us for food? Do you have a back snack program? Our school district has tried to be very cognizant of that, and what our focus was this year is not just about test scores. It's not just about academics. It's also our little ones are coming in the door hungry. They're coming in the door not knowing where they're going home that night. We've really never dealt with that at the level we are now. So we've really tried to embrace that by doing different things. I'm sure you've met him. I have a fabulous PE teacher by the name of Mr. Bo Bragg. He is one of the finalists for Kansas Teacher of the Year, and we have worked really hard to build a wellness program. Not only just physical fitness wellness, but also nutritional wellness and emotional wellness, and he has been instrumental in that. So if you ever get the opportunity, come and visit us. Some of the things we're doing with wellness, we do Moving Monday, where everybody has to take a brain break. Don't know if you've ever heard of Go Noodle, but if you can ever get the opportunity to get on Go Noodle, you can do your daily exercises with Go Noodle, and it's fun and goofy. Our kids love it. You would love it too. It's fun. Tuesday is Tasty Tuesday, where everybody in our cafeteria gets it's usually a fresh fruit or vegetable, something kind of funky, trying to get our kids to try new things. Pomegranates were the big ones before Christmas. So that's been great. Walking Wednesday, where everybody takes a walking break. Thirsty Thursday, where everybody has to bring a water bottle. And we have water bottles for those little guys that don't have them. And we only serve white milk in the cafeteria. Let me tell you what. There was almost a revolt over that, but we're getting there. They're learning. And then Fit Fridays. And Fit Fridays are, again, just something fun for fitness. We have bi-weekly community meetings where our whole school comes together in our gym just to celebrate what we're doing, recognize student leaders, and we always do on that Fun Friday, Fit Friday, some sort of all-school brain break. So another young man that some of you may have met, his name is Jason Utlot, one of my kindergarten teachers who was a Horizon winner. He does the Yo Gabba Gabba in the yellow suit. It takes a really secure young man to get up there in the Yo Gabba Gabba suit and lead it, but he does. Wellness is just huge with what we do. The other thing that we've really tried to focus on is student data. It's been a challenge. I'm going to be just very transparent. It's been a challenge with our testing system in the state of Kansas. No results last year. And in all honesty, we don't use the state assessments to guide instruction. We use MAP, we use AimsWeb, because we've discovered that that one-shot test really doesn't tell us what our kids need. So as you're thinking and reflecting on what can we do to help kids in the state of Kansas, we've got to look at our assessment system, and we've got to come up with a system that really focuses on kids' needs and where our little ones are at and what they need. Another thing I heard you ask the high school students, what can we do to get great teachers? Because truly, strong principals are only strong because of their staff. My staff makes me look good every single day. They're the ones in the hot seat. They're the ones teaching kids. They're the ones doing that hard work. The best thing we can do is to help our kids get a college education to be teachers. It costs so much now, and for so many of our young people, they can't afford it. And if they can't afford it, I have a young man. I just hired him as a first-year teacher last year. He's 31 years old. It took him 7 years to get his degree because he had to pay for it himself. That is one thing we can do in this state, is to make it more attainable for our kids to go to college. I have a young man at K-State. I just got my tuition bill and I about croaked. And he's my third, he's my last, but to just see what my oldest daughter, who's a teacher now in the state of Missouri, to see what I paid for her to go to school 15 years ago compared to what I'm paying for my youngest, I can see why it's unattainable for kids. So that is another challenge I would give you, is to look at that and how can we help get our brightest and our best in our classrooms. Again, Bonner Springs is a great place. I encourage all of you to visit. I know Janet's been there. She's hung out with us on a Training Stallions Building Braves Day, because that's the other thing. We're really working hard to make our kids leaders. It's not just about how they perform on a piece of paper, but it's how they act in their community and how they do for others. So thank you for this opportunity, and if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Janet Waugh.
I cannot let this opportunity pass. Not only she is outstanding, she truly is. I've been to that building, and it's amazing the things going on in this outside garden or whatever. You didn't mention it, and I wanted you to say something about it because
Yes.
I was so impressed with that.
We have, again, Mr. Bo Bragg, my fantastic PE teacher, sought out a $15,000 Lowe's grant for an outdoor learning center. And our building sits in a very well-established older neighborhood, but back behind us is beautiful woods with a really pretty creek. And we have actually a big family of beaver that have a little dam down there. Our kindergarten named him Bob the Beaver and his family. So Bo really wanted to. So many of our little ones don't get the opportunity to play outside. Their lives are so different than our lives were as children. So he worked hard and went to K-State, studied the low ropes courses, and he applied for this grant, and we got it. So we have a beautiful outdoor learning area with a stage. We've got seating. It's tough to get all 468 of our kids down there. We tried it once this fall. We got to expand that area. We have a low ropes course. We have a quiet reading nook, and they're all tucked in the trees. And it's really very precious to me. At the time we got the grant, my first little grandson was born, my only grandchild. He was a major little preemie, only lived a short amount of time. But my staff voted to name our outdoor learning area after him. So it's HOLA, Hunter's Outdoor Learning Area. And our little ones love it because there's a plaque that talks about Hunter, and they're always saying, "Oh, Mrs. Mitchell, little Hunter, this is his area." So it's precious to me. That's the first thing I see when I pull in the morning. It's the last thing I see is his sweet name on our outdoor learning area. So that's another thing. Our community also uses it. So if you're ever out and about in Bonner, just pull into our parking lot. You'll see the big wooden sign, but it's a beautiful area. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate
Wonderful.
it.
Board, I couldn't help but imagine our chairman with a yellow suit like that.
At a time and a place.
Oh, Janet. The next most honored distinguished educator we have today is Mr. Ron Wilson. He's a principal at Abilene Middle School, and he's been named the 2014-15 Kansas Middle School Principal of the Year by the Kansas Association of Middle School Administrators. Ron, can you come up and share some of your wisdom, bud? Thank you.
Well, first of all, you have to know that I have spent my entire career working with middle school students, so I don't know if I have much wisdom. I have a lot of craziness and insanity, but first of all, thank you for the opportunity and the invitation. I tell you, one of the greatest things about being named Principal of the Year that I have realized recently is that it's not so much the opportunity to talk about my accomplishments, but it's the opportunity to, like Kim, talk a little bit about where we're from and the great place that we come from and the great people. You can spend some time kind of putting feathers in their cap. And much like Kim, anything that I have accomplished is because of the people that are at Abilene Middle School. Abilene Middle School is a great little place. Much like Bonner Springs, we're very proud of our school, and we're very proud of our school district. Lots of great things happening at Abilene Middle School. I think some of the things that we are doing at Abilene Middle School that have maybe identified us is we have taken an approach to look at our school district, and this is from our district leadership, our superintendent, Dr. Denise Guy, is looking at K-12 programs across our entire district. One of the great things that she has emphasized is if we're going to do something in our schools, let's look at it as a K-12 initiative. And when we look at our MTSS initiatives, we have looked at it as K-12 across the board. And so not only are we all doing MTSS and reading, math, and behavior, we're doing it together. And although every building is individualized in their own ways that they are using it, we are coming together and talking about how it's transitioning from building to building. And I really feel like, as I look back over the last several years, I really feel like we have made some great gains with our MTSS work in our district in reading, math, and behavior. And I think a lot of that has to do with the approach that we've taken. Much like when we went to a one-to-one initiative for our iPad. We looked at it as a K-12 initiative and how that was going to help us transition from building to building, to help students progress and get the most out of what we were spending our dollars for. Abilene Middle School has lots of great things. It's interesting, as Kim was talking about her PE teacher, I felt like, well, yeah, I should probably mention my PE teacher as well. I got a great PE teacher. She was actually named the state the state middle school PE teacher of the year, and also won the national PE teacher of the year last year. And once again, we have some wellness initiatives within our school. One of the other things that we're doing that I think is really unique and I'm really proud of is we are really focusing on leadership with our students. We have created a leadership program within our school that is, we start with kids as in middle school and then developing them as 8th graders, where we actually name them Longhorn leaders. And these Longhorn leaders are doing not only helping with our younger students in our school, 6th grade students as they're working towards their orientation into the school, they're also going down into our elementaries and working with our younger students and doing character ed programs. Just yesterday, our Longhorn leaders, we have about 20 Longhorn leaders within our middle school, went down to our kindergarten, 1st grade building and did some character ed. And I wish I would probably should have brought you some video to show these young leaders doing really great things with young kids. Someone mentioned how proud they were of the high school kids. I think you would have been just as proud of these middle school kids and what they're doing. I tell you, one of the great things about being, and I even hate mentioning this, one of the great is that when you become an old guy, there's sometimes not always all the great things you think, but one of the greatest things is I can look back and think, man, we're doing some great things in schools. I really think that we're actually teaching and learning better than we were, 10 years ago. And I know there's sometimes a lot of negative things, and I agree with Kim, assessments, and there's a lot of challenges out there for all of us. But I really feel that we're doing some good things. And I'll also say this, I really feel that kids today, there's some real positive with kids. We just had an MTSS behavior meeting, K-12, with our leadership teams. And the emphasis that I really felt like was, our kids in our schools, I really feel like today, they're more responsible. They understand responsibility. They understand respect. And they understand, giving your best effort. Doesn't mean we always get it. But I think sometimes as board members, sometimes you need to hear things like, yeah, our kids are doing great things and they are better, because sometimes you hear the negative that's out there. Maybe kids aren't, as respectful and responsible as they used to be. So I feel very, very confident. I've been a principal for 19 years. I taught for 10. That's my 29th year. So I feel like I finally have reached that level where I can say, yeah, I do have the ability to look back and say, yeah, kids are really doing some great things. And they're doing great things in Abilene, Kansas. I know they're doing great things in Bonner Springs, Kansas, and McPherson, Kansas, and all over the state. And I appreciate, and our school district appreciates the work that you guys do. Although I'm not here, this is actually my first time ever being here. I do read, and I'm up to date on the things that you guys are doing, and I always appreciate the work that you guys do. So once again, thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about my school and our district, and thanks so much.
Whoa, wait. You're not off the hook that fast.
Okay, shoot.
Any comments or questions? Carolyn Campbell?
Well, thank you, sir, because you are special.
Thank you.
middle school. I volunteered, and that's my third choice of where to go.
You need to come to Abilene.
I guess maybe I do.
We'll change your mind on that.
But I did learn and to appreciate them, the young people in that age range, and what they're struggling to find themselves and all. So, but you're still special. What's the physical education teacher's name?
Diane Wyatt.
Miss Wyatt. Okay.
Mrs. Wyatt.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Jim Porter.
Okay.
Dina Horst.
Thank you.
Oh.
And having lived in Salina for a long time, and my husband's from Abilene, Abilene has always had a great school system. And and as a former middle school teacher, I've got to give thumbs up to you as well. That is a special age group, and in fact, maybe I'm a little more middle school than once you've been a teacher of middle school, I think you kind of act like them sometimes.
I definitely do.
But I know I found myself doing so. But I wanted to congratulate you and thank you for sharing and open up the whole dialogue of saying when there is something you see that should be changed, in your opinion, please let us know.
Definitely will.
So, and tell your teachers to do the same.
I will do that. I will.
All right, thank you. And since I'm one of your board members,
yeah, we'll
you know where to find me.
Yes, we will.
Well, Ron, both you and Kimberly have identified the fact that you couldn't be here without, strong teachers. Exactly. And I'm not sure which came first, the strong teachers or the strong leadership. And it's not a matter of who came first. It's an element that has to be there.
Exactly.
Both.
Exactly.
You can't do it without each other.
Yes.
So thank you for celebrating, both of you, for celebrating and recognizing that you owe a great deal of debt and gratitude to the teachers for you being here today. But also, you've done a great job yourself. You've been a great player, both of you. So thank you very much. We'll have a little awards presentation here at the end, and but thank you.
Thanks.
And congratulations.
Yes.
The high school teacher of the year couldn't be here. Carol Letty from Wichita South High School. She was unable to be here, and so we'll have to recognize her at some later date. You know what's special about all these distinguished administrative leaders are here? They're chosen by their peers. That's about as good as it gets when your peers, and the superintendent of the year is no different. The Honorable Randy Watson Incorporated, Superintendent McPherson, and a future Commissioner of Education. He was named the 2015 Kansas Superintendent of the Year by the Kansas School Superintendents Association. Professor Randy, you ready, bud?
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity and great honor from my peers this morning. I want to thank all of you. Many of you reached out in the last week. Passing my father, I sincerely appreciate those thoughts and comments the last week. Appreciate that a lot. And earlier today, when Jay brought the kids, isn't that what it's all about? I'm going to go over and meet with those kids. One of our teachers said, you got to come over to Capitol Plaza and talk to the kids. What great leaders and great things that they're doing, and appreciate that. Principals of the year, Ron and Kim, wonderful, and they were filling my ear about assessment as they were talking to you, about what we need to do to change and get better, and of course that's what we're all about. I've talked to you many times about our C-Cubed initiative in McPherson, and as whether it's Bonner Springs or Abilene, we think all roads lead to McPherson. That's the hub of everything in Kansas, and we're very, very proud. I just wanted to kind of bring you an update, what we've learned. Just as they told you, I think, and Jim Collins had it right in Good to Great, you've got to start with great people. And you have to find people that have the right place on the bus. Jim talks about that. It's so important because there's different skill sets and organizations, and you have to make sure that you've got the right people. And we have wonderful people in McPherson. Outstanding principal leaders, outstanding teachers, outstanding support staff that work extremely hard. I'm thankful every day we have this Mennonite heritage in central Kansas, and people just, what can we do to really help? That's what I get to come to work with every day. But here's really what we've learned about that. Our expectations need to be higher for our kids. You've heard me talk about my dad and his lack of a college education and how he, tell people I turned out just fine. You just need to get on with life. But the fact is, it's requiring more and more education to get to the base level jobs and earn those middle class living that we all want. And so our expectations have to be higher. We just received back some ACT Aspire results from the fall down to third grade, and we have some academic work to do. But I will tell you that what we've learned is that academic skills are very important, and we've talked about that, around this board, about state assessments and NAEP scores and ACT scores, and they're very important. But you heard the young lady talk about life skills and families. Non-academic skills in today's world with our kids are just as important. The value system that all of us instilled with our families as families become different are not that they're just not there. It's not that they're doing the best job they can. They're just not there. And so spending time, as Ron talked about with his group about character, extremely important. I don't know how we measure it, but when you get it right with kids, right? You saw that today. You saw that as they spoke to you. So we're learning about that, and we're trying to improve that so much at our pre-K through 12. And the other thing, we've been very humbled in this journey because we've learned we don't know very much, and that there's a lot to learn about what we're going to have to do to get every kid successful. It was easy when we just had to have a few kids be successful. And the others could fend for themselves, and a high school education kind of meant that. And now when you look at every single student walking across the stage, or you looking at every fourth grader and saying, what do I need to do today to help make that kid and that family successful, that's hard with limited resources, as you know. And so that's what we're learning. It's a fun journey, and it's really great work. And I'm very proud of the work that we're doing. And as I mentioned, I know all of you know a lot about that work. So on behalf of all superintendents across the state, I want to say thank you for the countless hours that you put in to make this education for all of our kids meaningful and worthwhile. And with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions or any thoughts that you might have, entertain any thoughts.
Comments, questions?
Well, you know what I'm doing for lunch, yeah. I have to do a little bit of a celebration, then Dale and I are going to talk to superintendents about a whole statewide tour I hear that we're going to have planned, and some things that we're going to do there. So,
Randy, congratulations. Thank you very much. We're going to take a short break here, make some presentations, take some pictures. We'll reconvene at 10:15. Yes. Yeah. Okay. We get the board to reconvene. Next item on the agenda is to act on recommendations of the Professional Practice Commission. Scott Gordon is here to lead us in that discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Cameron would have been here, but frankly, these are two very simple kind of corrective measures. So I decided I would take his place for this particular presentation. There's nothing too surprising, I don't think, on either of them before you. Ashley Eck was one that would have been to you 2 months ago, but I typed up the initial order with the wrong facts, so that's since been amended and corrected. Eden Bloom, there's been a lot of documents that are included in your packet. If you have any questions, I can probably answer those for you. Otherwise, those are the only two findings of the PPC that we bring to you this month. Sally Cobble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to have to, Madam Chair.
It's okay.
Maybe you need that yellow outfit. I'm sorry, Jim. I'm going to have to recuse myself on one of those, Eden Bloom. I know the individual personally, and I need to recuse myself. So if you would vote on them each separately, it would help.
Okay. Janet Waugh.
I'll make a motion to approve the other one. The name, right?
Ashley Eck is the one you're referencing.
Ashley Eck, okay.
We have a motion by Janet Waugh to approve Ashley Eck, and we have a second by Kathy Bush. To clarify, is the motion to adopt the findings of the PPC?
Whatever that motion says, I yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That said exactly what that said. That we adopt the Professional Practices Commission findings. That's what I said, isn't it?
That's what I heard you say. Ashley Eck, and I wanted to make sure you weren't giving her license. That's why I was. Yes. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve the recommendation of the Professional Practice Board regarding Ashley Eck. If you agree, please raise your right hand. I believe that's a 10-0 vote. Is that right, Steve? Yes. Okay. 10-0 vote. Thank you very much. Kathy Bush.
I move we take the recommended action supporting the order of the PPC on Eden Blooms.
Thank you. We have a motion by Kathy Bush and seconded by Steve Roberts to accept the motion by the PPC. In the case of Mrs. Bloom, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Those opposed? That's 10-0. 9, I'm sorry. Oh, Sally recused, yes. We have a 9-0 and a recused. And is that an abstention or? It's abstention. Yeah, okay. It won't count on the vote. Just helping me clarify. Okay.
Thank
you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next item of business is board reports, requests for future agenda items. At this time, I'd like to distribute, Peggy, if we would, the committee assignments. Everyone received one of their requests, if not a couple of them. We weren't able to accommodate everyone on every request. Some of you did, in fact. Thank you. Prioritize your choices. Others did not. If you have an issue or comment after the meeting you want to get with me on that, I would be happy to talk with you about it.
Likewise, if you see anything that doesn't look correct, let me know and I'll.
Thank you, Peggy. I'll give you a moment to read those. And then we'll move to, my gosh, Communication Committee's report. Thank you very much for filling out the forms and getting us that information. I want to thank Carolyn and Brad in terms of your help in making these different assignments. They're very important, and I realize that across the state, this is a way that we do keep our relationships and get our information. So it's not only working with them and communicating, working with them to meet their mission, but also communicating back to us what's taking place across the state in the areas that we're representing. I'd like to move to communications report. Sally, if we could. Got a no? Okay. Okay. A couple of updates. First, postcards will be going out. Peggy, do we have a copy of the first one?
No, I do, but I don't have enough to give you guys each one. I mean, I'll send it electronically, but I'll take them over today, and I just had them print enough.
We might just pass some around and
but it's
and
the
take a
draft
look.
that you saw previously announced.
And the first one is on Randy Watson. What's the second one? I don't have it in front of me.
Well,
we were going to do
it's either going to be board leadership or the tour dates.
Right.
So if the tour dates are ready.
We'll be talking about those in just a few moments. Okay? As those cards are going around, no comments about Randy's picture. I'd like to also inform you that on February 10th, working with Senator Abrams, we have secured the Topeka Country Club as our site for our social dinner. And I say social, there's no planned agenda, but dinner and shared time with the Senate and House Education Committees. We'll be receiving the exact time and directions as we get closer to that time. But you can assume that it'll be around 6 in the evening. Looking forward to that. Senator Abrams has been a good partner, and I'm looking forward to that opportunity that we'll have. Again, it's not there's no presentation, there's no PowerPoints, there's no speeches. Other than introductions, it'll be an opportunity for us to have dialogue. No decisions will be made, no votes will be taken. And I think it's important that we have that opportunity, as we did last year, to get to know the members of the committee. There's new members, there's new leadership, and in a social and relaxed atmosphere, sounds like a good deal. I appreciate all Steve Abrams has done, Senator Abrams, to make this happen. I hope you can all make it. One of the things that Peggy and I and Sally will be doing probably right after this meeting, one of the opportunities we shared with you earlier was that we will provide a very brief synopsis of what just took place, any record of any votes, records of any conversation that we think is important as we go through, but a very, very quick but pointed, very informative piece to all the legislators about what's happening, what happened at this board meeting, including the recognition for students and leaders, but also any decisions that we made. And we'll be sending that to you electronically as well, so you see what we're sending to them. It's just an electronic message. They're telling them what happened at our board meeting in the last 2 days. Sally, anything else?
Seems like you covered it.
Okay. All right. Are there any other committees that need to make reports? Janet Waugh?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thought I would. The policy committee is just really excited. about being the policy committee, I think. Anyway, so we're going to hit the ground running. Starting next month, we're going to have lunch together, and we are going to have our board attorney and our secretary, and we're going to start on our policies. Again, I think we'll probably go with the, what were they, the regulations? Yeah. Guidelines. I'm sorry, guidelines this time. We'll go with them first because we did the policies last time. And then we may go back and do the policies. Then we'll do the evaluations, but we'll have it done soon. Thank you.
Your leadership and the efforts of the policy committee have been well received, so we're looking forward to that. Thank you.
I had forgotten we'd given up all our lunches, but oh well. But it will not be Subway.
That policy committee can make those decisions. That'll be there. Okay. Any other committees? I know that any other? And why don't we have board? Is this the time we do board reports? We'll do that. Now we always, we can go from one end to the other, and we'll probably stay with that because I'll never remember who we missed. So, Mr. Roberts, if you'd be kind enough, if you have something to report on, thank you.
Just a comment on how privileged I was to participate in the Professional Standards Board. I think it's an important element that we have to have going forward to get professionals in the classroom and keep professionals in the classroom. I know sometimes that message gets mixed a little bit when I try to fight for bringing more of the public into our public schools. It seems like some folks suggest that I'm suggesting a diminution of the quality of our teachers, and that's the last thing on my agenda. We need to adhere to our goal of having an effective educator in every classroom. So the Professional Standards Board has an important place in that, and I was privileged to serve on it, and I look forward to serving on the Charter and Virtual Education Advisory Council. I don't know much about it, but I'm a lifelong learner, so I plan on learning very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Dina Horst.
Thank you. Actually, I look forward also to serving on the committees that I've been assigned to, and a repeat on the bargaining team that is always a kind of a neat experience because of the individuals that you're dealing with. Many of them also have the disabilities which they are teaching of the kids that they teach. So learning to communicate effectively so they understand what you're saying is important also. I also attended the last, as did Ken, I attended the last commission meeting of the K through 12 Performance and Efficiency Commission, and you all got a very nice report sent to you by as an attachment, which I couldn't have given you anything more, that was sent to you by Brad, and the only thing that I could add to it would be if some of you want to know what some of the conversation was. I did record some of that, but today that may be neither here nor there. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve again in that capacity, and I'll look forward to communicating with you in the future about what's going on across the street.
Jim Porter.
Based on my extensive tenure as a member of this board, I really don't have anything to report, but I do have some questions that I assume that will come under E, the next item.
If we don't, then you just ask them.
Now?
No, we'll
okay.
Janet Waugh.
I'll pass.
Caroline Campbell.
Thank you, sir. Well, first of all, I'm thankful that I have another chance to serve as the vice chair and to support our chair and our children and our teachers of Kansas, as I always will. As for my future agenda items that I was interested in when I was going through this packet, which just shows that Sally and I have been together too long, that I was so thankful when I opened the packet that we were doing the migrant report. And I would like to request that in the future, I would like to have an update on our foster care and our homeless children. And the Capital Journal, a couple of 3 days ago, on the front page, they were talking about our Native American children and how they're lagging behind academically. And so in the future, sometime I would like for us to get an up-to-date report on these three groups of children. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Sally Cobble.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for my committee assignments. And one of the committee assignments I have is the Education Commission of the States, in which you allowed me last month to go on the steering committee. That is a nonpartisan group that does research. And they have been sending me some articles on some things that we have been talking about. And I guess you can shake your head or no, if you would like me to go ahead and forward you those so you can have that research. A lot is coming out on teacher licensure. A lot is coming out on charter schools. A lot is coming out on some very pertinent, and I think I might go ahead and forward those two also to the committees, the Senate Ed and House Education committees. And so they're receiving the same research that we are sending, if that is permissible. Thank you. That's all I have.
John Bacon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to thank everyone for the nice sympathy card that you signed for myself and my wife, and so I will make sure I'll pass that along to her. That's all I had. Thanks.
Thank you. Ken Willard.
Because of a pretty high degree of certainty that there are going to be proposals in the legislature for a new finance formula, Senator Abrams, in the past 2 or 3 weeks, has called a couple of meetings. Both Jim and I were both invited to, along with an assortment of superintendents and principals from around the state, to talk about that and to kind of prepare for it. And Randy Watson, by the way, has been a part of that conversation as well. And it's very interesting, but I think the interest of this group is to whatever comes out, to hopefully have it aligned with what we're trying to accomplish and have it somehow reward or incent or in some way drive us toward student success rather than just figuring out a way to cut dollars. And there probably will be some proposals like that. But it was a very interesting discussion. We met. There's one of it's on my travel. I didn't know what to call it, so I just said an education finance discussion. And it was a very, very interesting meeting. Jim can give you his comments on it as well. I'm sure he will. But I was happy to be invited, and don't really have anything to share at this time. There may be a proposal come out of that committee that Senator Abrams will craft, but we haven't seen anything like that yet. So unless you've seen something I haven't seen, Jim. So that's all I have to report.
Kathy Bush.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm continuing on the two committees I've been on, and there has been a recent meeting of KLFA, which is Kansas Learning First Alliance, and this is an organization that has representatives from really lots and lots of educational organizations from throughout the state, from K-12 into higher ed. So it's a good group that works together and talks about and decides how to advocate for education. I'm going to send around a research report, and Tom Krebs brought these copies to me. So if you're back there, Tom, I can't tell if you are or not, but I appreciate you bringing these. This is from KASB, and if you I'm going to go ahead and pass them, and then I'll talk about them in a minute. But this is a research report that they had. I think there's enough for everybody, and probably Brad also. But I'll do a couple things on that. But this organization does spend a lot of time. We do a little bit of professional learning, but then we also talk about various topics that are going on. This is from the Kansas Association of School Boards, as you can see when it gets to you, and there is some research in here that they've put together. Actually, if you look on page 2 of 12, it gives a very brief intro, but then it gives the summary. So those are bulleted summary reports, and then the following data on the following pages of 4 through 10 gives the data summary pages. I think it's very interesting. I like also how they've color-coded these. If you look on page 4, for instance, Kansas shows up in red, and then some of the neighboring states pretty much in the center of the country. They also highlighted those in green. Unless you're a little bit colorblind, those you may struggle with that a little bit. But I thought this was a very good data report that I think you'll find helpful, so I wanted to be sure to get this to you. I thought everybody would enjoy that. They also gave us the report, which I think we've received also from Brad, which was the final recommendations on the K-12 Performance and Efficiency Commission, so we did have some conversation on that. The Coordinating Council was going to meet in early February, but we have to change that because of the tour, the statewide tour that'll be going on, and so Dina and I will go to that. Another thing I want to talk about, and if we were going to have an assessment update, I was going to ask the questions there, so I guess it's hopefully, is it okay if I ask now?
Go ahead.
Maybe Brad. I've had some conversations with some of the districts about the upcoming state assessments. And I guess I've got some, concerns. One of the things that one person has shared with me, that the state assessments this spring, now it won't take all days, but it will take 13 days that they will take to give these assessments. Again, it's not all day, but they have to have 13 days that they use to give these assessments. That's, to me, an awfully lot of instructional time. I don't know how that compares to the old test, but I was in the schools when we gave the old test. This seems like this is more. There's also a ticket system, which I have learned a great deal more about. When they are preparing these tests to give to the students, they have to manually print tickets for the kids. And these tickets are printed. They do appreciate the fact that the tickets can now be sorted, which is a much better thing than what it was last year. But these tickets are printed, and there's 8 tickets to a page, so they have to print all these tickets, and then they have to cut these tickets out. So they're cutting tickets. And in the Wichita district, to give you one example, there is one school, which is a middle school, that will print 12,125 tickets. That's a lot. And I know Wichita is not the only school district that has large schools. So they are, and again, they can now sort them, which is helpful. It just seems like to me that is a lot of labor. And in this day and age when we have electronics, I don't know why we couldn't use the kid's ID number and plug that in and the test would come up online rather than have to have all these 12,000 tickets printed. I know there's a number of tests, and we're also doing science this year, so I assume that's included. So it just seems like to me, I guess I'd have to honestly say I was kind of surprised when people were sharing me this information. It concerns me that, I mean, I know we have to do state assessment. It concerns me that there is this much work, manual labor, that we're having to do with these folks. Also, the window goes all the way to May 15th, and in Wichita, graduation starts on May 8th. So that's a little difficult if you're going to be giving assessments. Of course, I know that's seniors that are graduating, but still, we all know what the end of the school year is like. So I don't know, maybe you can address some of these issues with me. Kind of a related issue, and I know there's a federal requirement that we test 3rd through 8th grade and once in high school. I have to tell you very honestly, I would like to see is that we test once in elementary, once in middle school, and once in high school, and then for state accountability. I know you can't measure student growth that way, but it seems like to me we could then require the districts, which I know almost all of them are doing, to have an assessment system that they use internally that they can look for student growth. I think we are overburdening our schools with what this seems to be going on. So I don't know, Brad, if you want to get back with me or if you want to respond now. But when I heard some of these numbers, and you know, it isn't just one school that has 12,000 tests. Then there's 2 others that have, or excuse me, not tests, but tickets. There's 2 other schools that have 10,000. These are middle schools. These aren't the high schools. Of course, high schools just test once. So, but these are huge numbers. Some of the high school numbers are 7,000. 2 of them at 7,000. So, you know, and like I say, I know Wichita's not the only school that, or district that has large schools. So, I don't know if you have some feedback or you need to get back with me.
A couple things, and for example, like the window. We've heard from districts in the past, the wider you can make the window, the better for us. We used to stop the window like May 2nd, but district said, well, does it hurt to go another week? So we just make the window as wide as we can. They can test all early, mid, late, but so the window is just made wide for them, more flexibility of when they want to give the test. Again, so it's extended about a week, week and a half, because every year people say, well, could we have one more week? As far as the length, 13 class periods, not sure where that's coming. Basically, the math test, the old one was 60 questions, the new one will be 70. So there's 10 extra questions. As far as tickets, you know, so the length of the time, but if I could see if one kid happens to be in a year where they're having to give, let's say, 8th grade, and that's the year they're taking the math, the English language arts, the science, and the, you know, so one class or a kid may be taken, that's probably the largest, or the class that is assessed the most is 8th grade. So I'm sure if you added up the class time, one 8th grader, that could be possible, but I haven't heard of 13 hours. The test really isn't that much longer. Part of the difference is, and this gets into the ticket thing, is no student sits down and takes the test, all 70 questions all at once. It's in, so they'll take like 25 questions, then they'll come back another day and take a 15 question section, then come back another day and another 15. So each one of those, they have to then log back in to take the next section, and that's what a ticket's called. And they are working on trying to make the tickets electronic, however it is, but that is something that CETE and our staff is trying to work on. But tickets are basically, when a kid logs in, they have to have a number to type in that's assigned to those kids. But the ticket is probably the thing that they're working on the most. But the tests themselves are not longer, well, they are. They're about 10 questions longer, and the main purpose for that is starting next year, the test will be adaptive. And if we remember that, once the kid takes the first section, their next section depends on how well they did on the first one. And that's, so there will be a 25, then like 3 different 15 to really find out what the learning level is of the student based on how they do each time on the previous section. So the tests themselves aren't a great deal longer.
Okay, well, I mean, this is pretty recent feedback I've received from a couple of different folks, and you know, they're just concerned about the instructional time loss, and then the ticket situation I think is a little overwhelming. I think if they know that it is working, we are working towards electronic, I think that will help. But right now, like I say, you're talking about printing between, I mean, at least 3 schools, 10 to 12,000 tickets. That's, you know, and they have to cut them out. I mean, that's a lot of time. I don't know if anybody else is hearing anything, but, you know, there's some, I don't know, I just, it seems pretty overwhelming to me, and I've been in those schools, and I know what it's like during testing time, and this sure doesn't seem very easy. I do know that we're working towards adaptive, and I have heard that at least the math, I don't know if the reading part is in portions, and is it what you do on the first part then determines what you take on the second? Is that an adaptive?
Yes, starting next year.
Next year, not this year. Okay. Okay, well, I wanted to bring that up because, again, I don't know that other folks have had concerns. It concerns me. And I don't know how we look to the future, but again, I guess I'm going to keep bugging this testing thing because I'm not sure where we need to be.
And those are all things that the Kansas Assessment Advisory Council continues to work on as we develop the new assessment.
Okay, thank you.
Very good, thank you. I'll go to my report, since I went over me, but I also, rookie mistake, we didn't have the attorney report or a legislative report, and I apologize for that, but we'll get to that in a moment. I want to build on what Ken talked about. It was the discussions we had, the 2 meetings we had with Senator Abrams and his committee that he put together. This was not a formal committee in terms of the Senate, but the discussions were very good. The issues were clearly articulated within the committee. It was good to hear different and interesting proposals. I think you'll see something coming from Senator Abrams at some time, and probably he'll reference the committee work that was done. He also made a very strong statement to the committee that it would take the support of others, you know, that were on the committee to make this happen and to be involved in the process. And that's an invitation to us as a board. Ken and I don't have anything really substantive to report to you. We talk mostly theoretical and so on. So as soon as we have something, we'll get it to you. But it was very good conversation, very positive conversation. You know, and all issues were addressed across the gamut. Wouldn't you say, Ken? Yeah, all views were presented equally and enthusiastically by folks. There was no holding back. You know, it really were very good meetings. We'll see what comes out of it. To Dina and Ken right now, do you have a legislative report? Yeah, thank you. I'll turn then to Mark and attorney report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I submitted a monthly report that Peggy had copies in your folders if there are any specific questions about the activities. They're summarized there. One of the main things that we worked on this last month was there was a lawsuit filed against the board from a teacher regarding licensure. And we filed a motion to dismiss, and they conceded that we were correct on that, and we got that case dismissed before it really got up and running. I wanted to elaborate a little bit on the negotiations for the School for the Deaf. For the benefit of Mr. Porter, the State Board of Education serves as the similar to what the school board serves on a for local schools. The state board supervises the School for the Deaf and the School for the Blind. So the negotiations, once that agreement is reached tentative agreement, that will come back to this board for approval. June 30th of 2015 will be the end of a 2-year contract with the School for the Deaf, KNEA. And so according to statute, we will, before the end of the month, provide notification to the bargaining team that the negotiation team for the School for the Deaf intends to engage in collective bargaining for a new contract. The last 2 sessions of negotiations, I've assisted the administration from the School for the Deaf in negotiating those, and Sue Storm before and now Dina Horst have participated in that process. They've not been too lengthy or burdensome, primarily because, as all of you know, since you've participated in various levels of negotiations in the past, when it gets to money, those are issues that usually are more contentious and draw out the negotiations. For the School for the Deaf, they track the Olathe salary schedule, so that significantly reduces the level of conflict that can occur in the negotiations. But there are a number of issues that do come up with the policies and procedures of the school. In the past, there have been a few, only been a few of those items. To let you know that this may be a little bit more extensive, only in the sense that the School for the Deaf wants to take a more comprehensive look at the negotiated agreement this particular year, because this is now the 3rd year of its existence, and they've had enough history to kind of want to tweak some of the, and I'm sorry, Carolyn was part of that process as well. I'm looking over there at her. She was part of that negotiations team in the past. And so they want to take a little more comprehensive look at the process, or at the contract. They've also want to utilize the services of the Federal Conciliation and Mediation Services, which is a free service the federal government provides to have a mediator and facilitator come in and engage in interest-based bargaining process. And the negotiations team for the KNEA has requested that we go through the training process again, which is usually about a half-day process to just simply do training on the IBB process. And so tentatively set a date of February 26th for that training. And then simply based on Mr. Dunn, who's the facilitator, his availability, the negotiations themselves probably won't be until April. So it's going to be a little later than anticipated, but he helps a great deal in moving through the common interests of both the administration and the KNEA on working through those issues. So that's a little bit about the process and the timetable. I'll keep you updated, and Board Member Horst will participate in that, and we'll keep you updated as well. But it may be a little bit more involved in terms of what proposals are brought to the board for approval. The negotiation team is principally made up of the administrators because they have the day-to-day understanding of what their issues are in the contract. I reported previously that we did go to Colorado and participated in the argument before the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals on the Petrella, and that no decision has come out yet on that, but that was something that kept us pretty busy in the last couple of months of last year. Sent you an update on the Cope lawsuit in the Kansas District Court, and that decision came out early December. Since that time, the plaintiffs in that case have filed a notice of appeal, so that will be going to the district court, or excuse me, the Kansas court, excuse me, the Court of Appeals, 10th Circuit Court of Appeals in Denver as well. As you know, the Attorney General is defending the board on that issue, so if you're not getting updated on that periodically, let me know, and we'll be sure that the Attorney General's office gives you updates. The specific arguments that will be appealed from that ruling have not yet been determined, or we haven't been given notice as to what those arguments will be, but as anticipated, they have appealed. And then also the Gannon lawsuit gave you a summary and provided you a copy of the decision that came out on December 30th. I've also been advised that they have filed notices of appeal in that case, and once the docketing statements and the pleadings that identify the arguments that will be on appeal, once those are filed, I'll provide you copies. I'm not directly involved in that in any way. Just simply from a monitoring standpoint and trying to make sure that you keep informed, in addition to all the different associations that send notices. Principally, the KSDE provides summaries and notifications of those. But you may recall that 5 years ago when we got notice of the intent to bring in the board, we said, no, we're not a proper party to that. So luckily, you're not a party to the school finance litigation itself, but try to keep you informed the best that we can. So I'd stand for any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Carolyn Campbell.
Thank you. Mark, when is the notice date? If the School for the Deaf wants to put something on the table?
Our notice letters will go out before the end of January.
Okay.
So January 30th, I think, is a Friday. That'll be the last date. And we're gonna put together the letters that identify, as you know, by the statute, you have to identify the topics that you intend to negotiate, and the interest-based bargaining does provide a little more flexibility in that you can it provides flexibility that if you identify an interest, even though it's maybe not in your notification letter, typically the groups have allowed that issue to be discussed in the confines of that process. But formally, those letters will be exchanged before the end of the month, and you'll get copies of those.
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. As the NASB liaison, I have a couple of things to cover with NASB. Number one, really good news. NASB has moved into new headquarters in Arlington and gotten out of the building that they were in that was too large, too expensive, and with the financial arrangements that have been made, they are going to save like $500,000. Or more than that, actually. Ken, how much are they going to save? I don't. Yeah. Yeah, right about $500,000. So, and we have our January meetings are there. Ken and I will both be participating, and it will be at the new offices. So we'll be able to report back what those are. Substantively smaller and less expensive. So that was good news. I will tell you that Peggy and I are working on a leadership stipend that we're putting together to apply from NASB. It'll be about $7,500, and we'll be getting that information to you We have to have it approved. We'll have something to you in February. With that, we've already started communication with groups, and it's kind of a quick turnaround. It's not a lot of money, but it provides us the opportunity for connections within the state with Kelly and USA and other groups that are supporting Kansas leaders. So we'll get you more information on that as we move forward, and at our February meeting. Okay, now I think we're ready for board travel. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you very much, Sally. We've had one mention, but let's future agenda items. Thank you.
We all received the White Pages report, and I don't know if this is an agenda item or a concern I have, Jim and Carolyn. In that proposal, they had a couple of committees that they want to put together, and one of them is entitled An Act Concerning Education, Creating the Kansas Education Standards Study Commission, be it enacted by the legislature of the state of Kansas. Anyway, it goes on down, and the people that are appointed on it, there is Board of Regents, but there's no state school board member. I think we need to watch this. I think it's very dangerous. Looks like they're taking away our... So I don't know if I'm interpreting this wrong, Jim and Carolyn, or what, but it looks scary to me, okay? It looked like a way to take away what we do. There's also another second one in there. I'm sorry, I lost where I was bringing these up. But in that one, there is no state school board member appointed to it either. These are in the White Pages of this efficiency study. If you just read the efficiency study, it didn't come out looking that bad. But when you got into, what were they called, the two committees that they're recommending?
Well, they're bill drafts, but they're task forces.
But
that they are asking the legislature to put in place.
But if we study. But I think if they're going to study, they need to have one of us on there for standards. That is our job. They have Brad on there, but they don't have any elected official on there. And so I think we need to look at that pretty closely, that, we could give them a report on how we studied everything, but on standards. So
I appreciate that, and I have talked to Senator Abrams and others that the absence of the state board from these kinds of studies and commissions, and Senator Abrams was very direct and said, I'm not the one that creates these, but I think we need to send the message as you are right now that we need to be involved. I said yesterday that the problems that we face in our state will not be solved by any one particular group. It's going to be all of us working together. And hopefully we can continue to push to working together. And I'd like to think it's not a slight, I think it's just an oversight.
I would too, Jim, because I believe we all have to work together, but we have to recognize the responsibility of each elected.
Yes.
And that they're not in this boat by themselves.
Exactly. And we need to all work together. I think that's a theme we need to put forward. And thank you for the question and for the information. That's very good.
I'm done.
Steve, we got a couple of people, then I'll get to you that are on the list here. Thank you. Jim Porter.
This sort of follows the same line. What I'm going to ask now has probably been told to me during the orientation, but I need I I'm not clear on what our exact constitutional responsibilities are. And so I would like to make sure that, I'm sure that all the rest of you do know that, and I don't want to waste your time, and so maybe just visiting with Mark or somebody can take care of that. But I'm very interested in making sure that I have a clear understanding of what our responsibilities are under the Constitution of the state of Kansas, so that I'm comfortable that we're working within that framework. But to follow up on what Sally just said, and sometimes when somebody asks a question, they think it's assumed that you're advocating for a position. I'm just simply asking a question. If there are others that usurp those responsibilities that are given to us, what range of options do we have as the official elected State Board of Education to address those? I agree that the best way to do things is to work together. If in fact that is not an acceptable option to others, what are our range of options? And I don't expect an answer, the definitive answer right now. That's just something that I feel that I need to know to move forward.
Mark?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Porter gave me a heads up that he was going to kind of pose that question to me specifically and generically in the board meeting. So what I've done is forwarded to him some of the written opinions that I've provided to the board so that we can have further conversation about that. But just to recap for the benefit of the board on that issue, I guess, that's the scope of the board's authority as mandated by the Kansas Constitution is something that we have discussed as a board, both publicly and through legal advice that I've provided the board over the last, quite a bit over the last couple of years. Just to recap generically, the board and the commissioner asked for an attorney general opinion back in 2013, where we described what we believe to be the scope of the board's authority under the Constitution and the limits of the legislature's authority, and that arose primarily as a result of the Innovative School District Act, and we asked for that attorney general opinion. The AG sidestepped that issue and said because of school finance wasn't going to issue an opinion on that. We then discussed this at length in the context of the Innovative Schools Act when specific applications were submitted to the board, and I provided a legal opinion on that, and I've shared that now by email with Jim so he can review that and we can revisit it if necessary. And then most recently in December, the Kansas District Court, federal court in Kansas, in deciding the COPE decision, did issue some rulings that were right in line with the kind of the discussion we had, and I sent you an email with some excerpts from that, which basically talks about the fact that the Kansas Constitution has been construed to be something more than to advise local school districts and something less than control, and set out those parameters. So you have to look at each specific statute to kind of apply the boundaries that have been interpreted by the Kansas Constitution. But that is a pertinent question and one that the board has been wrestling with for a long time. And I anticipate that the board will continue to look at each statute that's either submitted for consideration to the legislature or ultimately approved, and you have to look at those on a case-by-case basis. So just wanted to kind of highlight where we've been in the last couple of years for the board as a whole, and tell you that I'd be happy to visit with you offline after you have a chance to kind of look at some of those opinions.
Well, thank you, Mark. I'd add two things. One, Article 6 of the Constitution is where we're found. And we have that linked on our website. Because the second thing I'd say is many people do not know our authority, our responsibilities, and quite frankly, As running for election and being in our districts, we've probably heard, well, what do you do? And one of our goals in the communication committee has been to raise that awareness about what our roles, responsibilities, and who we are and what we do to the legislature as well as to publics across the state. Jim, that's a really good question as a new board member, and one that I think we all ask when we start. But we need to get a better job of getting that information out to our partners in terms of the administrative, executive, or the legislative branches, that we're part of the solution. You know, and this is what part we own. You know, so yes, good question, good question. And moving forward, Janet Waugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been thinking about this since breakfast this morning, and I guess at first I was going to ask that we put it on maybe as a legislative thing, you know, to maybe add to our legislative platform of what we're asking for, but then I don't really know what I want, but I'm just going to tell you my concern, and then first of all, Carolyn covered part of it by her request for the homeless and the migrant and the foster care system. This morning, it really kind of brought to mind the discussion we were having about how the needs have increased exponentially for special needs kids, the psychological challenges that they're getting with these young children, and even early childhood children. I mean, it was just unbelievable. They said how things have dramatically changed in the last 10 years of the needs they're seeing. A lot of it is from children in foster care, children, the poverty thing rising, you know, all these things. And so, and then after the discussion we had, you know, at the breakfast, and I don't really think the legislators truly understand maybe some of these things. And I don't know if we need to make a concerted effort to inform them of this. And I was also thinking about the rumors, of course, I'm sure you've all seen it too, about them possibly doing away with gifted. Maybe we need to take a position that we believe this is important, you know. Like I say, I don't know whether it's a legislative thing we may want to consider or if it's just a future agenda item, but it's just a concern that I have, especially I've been thinking about the gifted thing, but now hearing so much that we did this morning, I think it really brought some concerns to light regarding special needs children. And of course, the poverty situation is worse, as we all know, you know, in Kansas. So anyway, whatever you could come of that, make of that for future.
Well put. I think two things. I'd respond to that, both positively. Great question. Great sentiment. How do we form that into a question? Where do we go with it? Because, you know, special education has grown tremendously, but it's not just special education. The challenges of the poor, challenges of ELL, you know.
I thought I'd bring that up, but all of them.
Right. Some of them crossing are all in one, but the number of children in foster care, the number of children that are homeless. You know, why can't we do this in school, or why is it more efficient, or, you know, why are we not more efficient, are related to many of these same items. And I know many school boards and superintendents and administrators and the teachers groups as well are inviting legislators to come in, and almost inevitably when a legislator or a private citizen comes into our buildings and sees that they are under control, things are happening, as we heard from our principal leaders today, how we're doing a better job, even with more of challenges. When we get them in the building, regrettably, some just refuse to go on a tour. They just see it as a dog and pony show and not real. So, but we can't stop because they say no. We need to persist in getting leaders at the legislative level, as well as the state and national, but also in the local, to get into our schools. You know, I've spoken at times about West High School, which was considered by many not to be the best school in Wichita, and the fantastic things that are happening there, that how the culture and the opportunities have changed. So yes, we need to do that. So having that continued conversation and on an agenda item later on, I think, is important, and also searching for how we can communicate that better and more often.
I agree, and what Dina said really hit home with me too, and she said that we just focus on the good things we're doing. I mean, and we are doing many good things, but we don't focus on the challenges we're having, you know, and I mean, that's not just special ed, as you say, you know, and I guess maybe I feel it's our responsibility to make sure they understand because I think sometimes they don't really understand really exactly what all these things are, you know.
Thank you. Steve Roberts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've begun the process of writing new math standards, and I know that I cannot ask to be tasked with this officially. I cannot ask for some sort of commission or contract to do this work. It's just something I've begun doing. It should take the better part of a year to do it well. And it's not that the Common Core standards are particularly bad, but they're written by committee. And I don't want to give Ken Willard too much credit for the impetus of this little project that I've undertaken, but Ken was actually instrumental. We had lunch one day, and I suggested that the greatest contribution I could make would be, to the betterment of education in Kansas, would be to write new math standards, and Ken suggested that I not wait. He just made the suggestion, well, if you're going to do something like that, I wouldn't wait, something like that. And then, it may have been at our last meeting, just kind of talking about it in passing, he said, well, standards are always written by committee. And that just hit me like a ton of bricks, because I'm familiar with math books. I collect math books. I'm a math guy. Math is my second language. And I can tell you that when math books are written by committee, they are garbage. And when a math book is written by a single author, or possibly two, you might be onto something. So I'm going to write these standards, and I don't expect any remuneration or glory or anything like that. It's just something I'm called to do. And in the better part of, it'll take the better part of a year to do it well. And then I hope that I'll get a fair hearing on these standards. And if they don't measure up, I hope you properly shoot them down. But if they do measure up, I hope you will give them a good hearing, and who knows, maybe we can make education work better for some of our poorer families. Thank you.
Kathy Bush.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And not necessarily for the immediate future, but maybe when Randy gets on board. I do think we need to have a conversation about the state assessment, and might be interesting to hear from KSB, from the Superintendent's Association, what some of their desires are. But as we continue to look into the future, and I'm certainly all about accountability, but I personally think we could do school and or district accountability by testing once in elementary, once in middle, and once in high school. I do think there needs to be a different vehicle for state, but I think, or for student growth, but I think that could be within a local control domain. So I just would like to see us take a look at that at some point in time. Thank you.
Thank you. Good conversation. I'm sorry. That came on. Ken Willard. I'm sorry, Ken.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to echo Kathy's concern about the assessments, because it's not, it's a widespread sentiment. And I think it ought to be high on our agenda for this next year, and that certainly the commissioner needs to be involved in it. I was just reading today, the Secretary of Education has made another speech about ESEA reauthorization, and has said that while assessments, we need to get the proper balance so they don't take up too much class time. He has made it clear that the president is not going to sign any reauthorization that suggests less testing, or less than the annual testing. So if we're going to do what's best for kids, at some point we may not be able to follow that I don't know where that takes us, but I think we need to have a serious conversation about it. And if we can show that we can get the job done at some point down the road without annual testing, layered on top of all of the formative assessments that schools do routinely to measure their kids' progress, we layer on top this state assessment that means nothing to anybody except the federal government who wants to keep track. It doesn't help kids, and it in many ways is counterproductive. So I feel very strongly that should be a high agenda item for us as well.
I have to say, honestly, Ken, I agree with you. I was disappointed to see the Secretary of Education come out that forcefully, speaking for the president, when we know what, and we'll be talking about this at NASB as well, because it's not just us, it's other states, many of the other states as well. It's not just Kansas. It's not just in Dodge City or, in Hiawatha. It's across the nation. Okay, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Ken. I don't see any others. Thank you for the conversation. It was very good. Thank you. Moving on, we have board travel. Any additions or subtractions? Carolyn Campbell?
Thank you. I need to add, not for pay or anything, but this afternoon I'm going to KSDE Executive Board. And then I noticed, I guess I was supposed to tell you that I will be at the State of the State address, but no salary tomorrow for that either.
So you just list them.
Thank you. Jim Porter?
I'd like to attend the governmental relations part of the conference that has the community conversation in Topeka, and of course no salary or per diem, but maybe mileage. And this is the 22nd.
I don't have mine down either, Jim.
Okay, and Sally as well?
Um,
On the 22nd?
no,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't have on here my February when Randy comes out to my district. Yeah, because it'll be before the next board meeting.
So all of the dates so salary and mileage.
Because mine's before the next board meeting.
Go ahead and do that for everybody's. Yeah. I plugged them in on this.
Not for me, because I'll be going as part of my other job.
It's good to have a second job.
It helps your travel.
Any others who are planning to go to the visioning places that we've already that have been identified? Dina?
Well, I'm not sure I heard everything Peggy said. She said that you would just add all of us in that
For the
responsible
for the tour dates that you're listed as a co-facilitator, and then if you plan to attend other of those similar meetings, then let me know.
since some of my districts kind of overlap into other areas, so I'll just get with you and add those later.
Okay.
Ken Willard?
I need to remove, Peggy, the mileage for the swearing-in ceremony on one end of it, because I stayed over.
Okay.
I didn't drive home. So,
You can go back for the ball game? You
Huh?
can go back for that Francis ball game? That's what it's saying,
yes, I did.
You came back for the board meeting?
I did. Forget that. I'm lost. No, that's okay.
Slept since then.
Any other ads, additions, information on travel?
I guess I did have one question, Jim. On the January 22nd state tour date, I think you'll be at NASB. So
Correct.
do we want to give another designate? Designate another
Carolyn,
person, or did you already do that?
Yes, I had forgot to put that down because I've already been
So you'll be
So
at that
I
one?
should be there.
Yes. Okay.
So I will be there.
Thank you for reminding me. Thank you, Carolyn.
What is that?
So, are we get everything? Okay, we need a motion, to approve travel. Janet Waugh moves. Steve Roberts seconds. Please raise your hand by right hand, signifying approval of the travel requests. Okay, those opposed? 10-0. Thank you. I have just two things, very quickly. Janet, on your policy committee, I think I'm going to take a position. We've had discussion at the board table before about travel and how that fits into the policy committee. And I would ask the policy committee to look at travel and in terms of how we're set it up, and it might come back, we keep what we're doing, or it might come back with another plan, but just to make sure that we're looking at it and bringing that information back. We've had a number of board members who have expressed issues or concerns about our travel policy. Okay, thank you very much. The last thing I have is there is the conversation we had yesterday. Brad, did you report on this with Randy? You guys are looking at additional times in the day as we do the tour.
Yes, we're, and again, we're building this plane in the air, but in addition to the dates that we gave you, we are also going to be looking at additional evening times and locations to where we ensure that we reach people that may not be able to attend during the day. For example, we are in Hayes one morning, in Oakley that afternoon. We'll be driving to Garden City to stay overnight to be in Sublette the next morning. So if we can get to Garden City on time, we'll set something up in the Garden City area. In the evening, same thing, we'll drive from Sublette to possibly Chanute. And if we can get there in a decent enough time, we'll have an evening one in the Chanute area. We'll try to look for another one, maybe Salina area, Topeka area. So we'll be looking at, in addition to the ones we gave you, trying to also set up evening ones. So I don't think there's a rush into getting out, because the board will be meeting in this summer, possibly once Randy comes on board for your retreat. So we have time. We can continue to look at, if we're not getting a business voice there, then look for ways to add more to get. So we are this afternoon we'll be calling around Garden City and Chanute and looking around for some more evening ones. We'll just keep adding to the tour. And if anybody knows a good church bus that's available for the tour, we can decorate it and make sure we're well seen.
Good. Thank you for listening to the board in terms of responding to providing alternative times, and we'll go from there. I do want to thank, before we recess here, SEAC for the breakfast this morning and the good conversation. And for their leadership, again, thank you very much. We're recessing now for lunch. And is there direct adjourn? Well, we're adjourning, yes. And some of us are going to be going to the CTSO lunch at Capitol Plaza. Any directions on transportation?
There will be a van for those going to the Capitol Plaza. If you'd like to ride along for that, they'll be right outside the north entrance.
At what time?
Right now.
Right now. Okay. Good.
And if you're driving over there by yourself, it's in Shawnee A, the room labeled Shawnee A in the Capitol Plaza if you're driving over by yourself.
Well, thank you very much. We are going to adjourn, and 1 minute before we were supposed to. All right. Thank you.
Yes.